All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Justin Otstad, aka Cold Steel, aka Just Blaze 412. Getting a lot of names in the past, but man, this is, and guys in chat, you can let me know if you can hear me. Everything's a little jumbled right now. I am in the process of, and I think there's an echo in here. In the process of moving things around. So when I turn this camera on, you guys are going to notice everything's a mess in the background. But, man, I was supposed to go live. I was supposed to go live yesterday at 11 o'clock. And I decided to go against that because I was in the process of painting this room. Fiend says he can hear me. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you, bro. I'm in the process of changing a lot of things up in here. And the walls are very, very, very bare, so bear with me. But I was in the process of painting yesterday when the news broke. Which means if I had stuck with the original plan of going live, it would have been extremely awkward. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't believe the news because, you know, that's just how social media is nowadays. But, and again, don't mind the clutter back here because trust me, it's a disaster right now. But man, I honestly, just like I said on Twitter yesterday, I'm kind of lost in regards to what to say. Because this is something that's not supposed to happen. 24 years old, Dwayne Haskins has unfortunately passed away. And I saw a segment yesterday, I think it was on ESPN or somewhere along those lines, but now that I'm looking at it in front of the screen here, 1997 to 2022, it just does not feel normal at all. So this stream, I'm not going to be talking about Dwayne Haskins, the football player. We're not going to get into his past, anything, or even, you know, what he did with the Steelers. In fact, we're not even going to really talk too much about any of that. We're definitely not going to be talking about the Steelers. I'm doing this live stream to talk about something completely different. At least that's what the initial purpose was for this stream. But this news came out, and now I feel like it's appropriate for everyone in the chat to, you know, remember that life is short. And this is definitely a reminder of that. So Dwayne Haskins, and we'll get into, you know, the details with the situation. We'll look at some of the reactions around the league. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Like, what were you doing when this news broke? You know, that kind of thing. And yes, Fiend, we will do a moment of silence, which is why I had that graphic. We'll definitely do a moment of silence here in a minute. And, yeah, this stream was originally set up to talk about Odysee, which we still will, but man. Steel Twins, I don't know if you're still in the chat. If you guys want to call in and give your quick thoughts on the whole situation, you're more than free to let me know. I'll give you a call. Unreal. Honestly, there's just no other freaking way to do it. So yes, Fiend, let's do a moment of silence here for the next minute. Oh, man, that is unreal. Steel Twin says, we were tearing up carpet when I refreshed Twitter. Unbelievable news, and still speechless. Yeah, ironically, and we talked about this yesterday, we were all kind of doing the same thing yesterday. You guys were redoing your space, which I look forward to seeing how that turns out. And I was doing the same. We didn't even communicate about that, but that's what Saturday was. And I'm sure some of you guys can see in the background that wall. That was where the desk used to be. In fact, the camera used to be over here somewhere, and it would shoot all the way back there. We'll be changing that up in the next 2 weeks. But, yeah, Danielle says life is way too short. It really is. And, you know, Dwayne Haskins, for me, wasn't the reminder. I've had situations that I've went through myself. Whether it was me or family members, you're reminded through tough situations that life is truly delicate. But for some people, this, you know, Steelers fans out there that may not be thinking about these things, this could be your reminder that life is too short. And it's crazy. Odysee, what's going on? He says, I just watched the video. Truck driver filmed the aftermath 2 minutes after the ambulance drove away. Dwayne got out of his car, tried to cross 6 lanes of traffic. Yeah, I didn't see any videos. I don't know if I want to. Wow. I'm not sure. Somebody in chat can probably tell me. I tried looking into it. There's been stories about why he was on the highway in the first place. I've heard that his car ran out of gas. But, yeah. Really, really crazy. Danielle says, I watched a Instagram of Chase Claypool. My heart shattered in a million pieces. Yeah, I saw that video as well. And, it kind of took me back to 2018 when I lost my uncle who passed away in a fatal car accident. And I kind of had the same reaction that Chase. I mean, when you have those things pop up, you don't know how you're going to react. Now, I don't know why he felt to record that moment, but everyone griefs in their own way, I suppose. I know me, I wasn't thinking about pulling out my cell phone, but yeah, I mean, that was literally how I reacted. Only I also punched the dashboard. I beat the shit out of that dashboard. But yeah, this kind of hits home a little bit, especially with it being Steelers related, and my uncle was the biggest Steelers fan that I know or knew. So when I got that news, it kind of, you know, it takes you back. It opens up some of those wounds, and it reminds you that life is truly short. And when you think about it, it can be depressing. But in a, you know, in a way, life is short, but life goes on as well. And the best thing you can do is celebrate the life of those you lost. In this case, we didn't know Dwayne Haskins personally. None of us, I'm pretty sure. But you can still have respect for his family and pray for them and wish nothing but the best in a situation that really has no good to it. But you want to try to remember the good that they've done while they were here. And I hope that's what Steelers fans do. You know, myself included. But I don't think right now is appropriate to talk about football. So, things are going to go on pause for about a week or so for me. Which is fine because it gives me time to get things done around here. Because clearly I got a lot of work to do. I got to get this wall done in the back. I have a ton of stuff I want to hang up. And this camera is not the camera that I'm going to be using in future live streams. I am really I put something together as quick as I could this morning. just so I can go live and talk with you guys. Because I will be moving all live streams over to Odysee, which I will show you guys what that looks like, what that will entail. And let me go ahead and get the link up for you guys. For those interested, if you want to continue seeing me go live and see the content, definitely download the app. You can find that on your mobile phones. It's just like YouTube. It's really not that much different, only Odysee is a better platform in my opinion. And they're growing. And they believe in what I'm doing here on the channel, so I am going to be moving my content there. The Fiend says I already made a channel. Hey, bro. There you go. In fact, this is an announcement here. This will be the last live stream that I do on YouTube. I won't say ever, because Odysee is still young. We got to see like what the platform does in the next year. But for the next season, the watch parties, the podcast, all that stuff that I have planned, will be moving over to that platform over on Odysee. So that said, I want to make this clear. This channel is not dead. You know, highlights from the podcast or whatever videos I do over on Odysee will also be uploaded here. But if you don't join Odysee and follow the channel, you're going to miss out on the live streams. And if you're a content creator, I highly recommend you check it out. For sure. Now, I will say Odysee is, and I said I was going to get into this later, but you know what? Let's talk about it quick. Odysee is kind of like a, Web 3.0. It is built with crypto in mind. So there is a cryptocurrency attached to it, but they're adding, of course, ways for people to use actual US dollars over there as well. So Ozzy says it happened at 6:30 a.m., so it was still dark. And that was one of the questions I had, is because I know Florida is pretty much the same as, where I'm at up here in PA, but I wasn't sure if 6:30 in the morning, if it was dark or if it was bright. I mean, sometimes that could depend on where you're at as well, as far as like if you're in the woods or whatever. But in this case, he was on the highway. You know what? Let's switch over to the Steelers official website. And let me pull this up here. Dwayne Haskins, 1997 to 2022. Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins died on Saturday morning in a tragic accident in Florida. Now, originally it was reported that Haskins had passed away due to being hit by a car, but we now know that was not the case. It was actually a dump truck, which, I mean, of all things, it's just one of those things you just don't think of, especially with a football player. But this is what Mike Tomlin of the Steelers had to say. He said, "I am devastated and at a loss for words with the unfortunate passing of Dwayne Haskins." And honestly, I feel like we all agree with that. In some ways, we're devastated. I know not everybody was the biggest Dwayne Haskins fans. But that aside, this is a guy that was 24 years old. I think he's going to be 25 or would have been 25 in a few months or a month. And he was also, more importantly, a father. And it's another situation as well, if you want to talk about his career. I mean, this is a guy who would have been competing for the starting quarterback position for the Steelers. So when you add all that up, it is a little hard to just understand. But Tomlin would go on to say he quickly became a part of our Steelers family upon his arrival in Pittsburgh. and was one of the hardest workers both on the field and in our community, which I myself heard that he was very active in the Pittsburgh area. Tomlin would go on to say Dwayne was a great teammate, but even more so much of a tremendous friend to so many, and I am truly heartbroken. And I think that's very obvious when you see all the pictures that have been going around. Haskins definitely appeared to be loved by many on that team. So, and as you can see, it says the Steelers originally signed Haskins in January 2021. He didn't see any action in the season. And I remember that we did, I believe it was a live stream when that broke. That was back when I was under the name Just Blaze 412. And, I talked about it. Some people weren't too high on that signing, but I told people to, put your guard down and just see where that goes. That was my initial reaction to the signing. But as you guys know, he also signed a 1-year restricted free agent tender in March. And of course, he was expected to compete for the starting job. I think personally, his chances of being a starter was high in my opinion, considering what else is on the roster. But again, that is besides the point right now. And let's go ahead and look at some of the reactions from around the league. Mike Sullivan says, heartbroken and devastated by Dwayne's sudden passing. It was a joy to see him grow and develop, both as a quarterback and as a man. His positive attitude, bright smile, and genuine enthusiasm will be missed by everyone. Praying for his wife and the Haskins family. Very well said. And then, of course, Cam Hayward, the anchor, not only on the defense, but I would say a leader on the team in general. He said Dwayne meant so much to so many people. His smile was infectious, and he was a guy you wanted to be around. We are all in shock about losing him. We are going to miss the heck out of him as well. We lost you way too early. Luckily, I got a chance to get to know you. And he would finish by saying, rest in peace, DH, which is Dwayne Haskins. Mason Rudolph, who apparently, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think the report said he was not with the team down in Florida, which is where Haskins unfortunately passed. And not that it necessarily means anything, but he was not down there. But all he said on Twitter was devastated. And honestly, I mean, that kind of tells the story there, This guy definitely meant a lot to these teammates. Whether it was Mason Rudolph, who he was competing with, or if it was a guy on the defense, whether it was the coaching staff, whether it was the fan base around Pittsburgh, whether it was, who knows? This is the kind of impact us as human beings should all strive to have. An impact. The last thing you want to do is be remembered for anything other than what you've done good while you were here on this planet. And even though at 24, too young, hats off to Dwayne Haskins, man, for making an impact on many people's lives. No matter how big or how small that impact may have been, I think his short time on this planet was well spent. And that's honestly really all you need to know. Really all you need to know. Danielle says he would have been 25 May 3rd. That is right. I knew it was coming up close. So roughly less than a month away. Which is really hard to just wrap my head around. Honestly. Brother Mark 1992, what is going on, man? He says, and someone on Twitter said that they saw comments blaming Mitch. Well, here's the thing about Twitter. Twitter is literally a cesspool of toxic, faceless scumbags. You know, I can't really look too much into like what people say on Twitter because it is literally looking at the anus of the internet. And I really hate to get into a rant right now with the news we're talking about, but it is pretty freaking sad that these are the kind of things you see when you're on that platform. But 9 times out of 10, guys that are coming on Twitter and saying, you know, it's Mitch's fault, which is honestly fucking ridiculous. Those are the kind of people that hide behind a username and a faceless profile. And I think going forward in general, not just in this situation, accounts like that should be ignored, should be blocked and reported. And I honestly hope that Twitter finds a way to, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me on this, and maybe at one point in time I would have been against this thing I'm about to say myself. There needs to be better ways of controlling bots, authentication, whatever that may be, requiring phone numbers, something. Because Twitter is a very, very useful tool. I don't want to come on here and completely crap on Twitter as a platform, but the stuff like that is going around on Twitter has become pretty ridiculous. And yeah, brother, man, the thing with Adam Schefter, man, my opinion on that is so conflicted in some ways. Because I would like to believe that that tweet was not meant to be malicious. However, I believe he has a track record of putting players to the side and talking about their careers in the worst timing. Or worst manner, I should say. You know, a guy like Dwayne Haskins passed away. The last thing you should talk about is his career as a football player. And like you just pointed out, the fact that he hasn't apologized, which is a very simple thing to do, I think. I don't think that's asking for much. But to sit there and not apologize about something that you shouldn't have said in the first place is kind of telling. It's almost like you're saying, I have no reason to apologize, which, had I've said that, whether or not I realized at the moment I was tweeting this, the least I could have done was come out and apologize to those who lost this person by being insensitive, whether I was knowingly doing it or not. And the fact that he hasn't done that is a little eye-opening. But yeah, Twitter is a toxic but useful place. It's very conflicting. There's not another social platform outside of Instagram, in my opinion, that is worth using. Twitter is the greatest place to find information. In fact, the news about Dwayne Haskins was where I found out about his passing. Or in this case, it was actually my fiance who called my phone. I was in the middle of painting a wall. So again, had I went live yesterday, it would have gotten really awkward. Because my last live stream here on YouTube was supposed to be about moving the channel to a new platform. Which I'm hoping everyone in this stream comes over and tries it out. Because I will miss all of you over here on YouTube if you don't come over that way. And again, I will be putting the link, and you can scroll up. I still think it's there for you guys to see, but we'll get back into these tweets in here a second. I want to see what you guys are saying in chat. Leedy says Twitter is clout-filled yet very toxic platform. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's a useful platform, but it's very toxic. And I found that out the hard way when I started tweeting about WWE and AEW this last week. Oh, man. I lost count to how many times somebody pointed out that I was overweight. like I don't have a mirror, right? Like I haven't been actively for the last, 4 months now, been trying to lose weight, which I am, by the way. Daniel, thank you for putting the link there. Odysee.com/@SteelersCountry. And by the way, quick plug, I will be doing watch parties for the USFL games over on Odysee. I'm going to be starting a different channel for that, so I'll link that over on the Odysee community board. And I'll probably end up uploading it to this channel as well, if you guys want to come hang out and do a watch party. Because it's been a while, and I'm looking forward to it. Oh, man. Ozzy says, sooner or later, race is going to be brought into this like it was yesterday. I actually must have missed that part. I was very, very busy in here. What did I miss? What did I miss? By the way, I fucking hate this camera. I'm just going to be honest. I hate it. I don't have the blurred background action. I don't like it. It's too close to my face. It's kind of invasive. You guys can see all my my flaws here, man. And yeah, Danielle, thank you that you can see it. I mean, I got a long way to go, but we'll get there by the end of the year. For sure. All right, so let's get back into these tweets because there is still some to look over. TJ Watts, our defensive player of the year, said the world lost a great person today. When Dwayne first walked into the locker room, I could tell he was an upbeat guy. He was always making people smile, never taking life for granted. His impact on me will last forever. So there you go. And here's one that when I talked to the Twins, they were curious to know if Joe Burrow would have something to say. As you guys know, the two of them competed at Ohio State, and Dwayne Haskins ended up winning that position. So, of course, Joe Burrow moved over to LSU. But he said, tough to find the words, you will be missed. Short and simple. Washington Commanders said, rest in peace, Dwayne. As you guys know, that is the team that originally drafted Haskins. Ohio State says, leader, legend, forever a Buckeye. And of course, there is many other reactions from players around the league that was not included in this article. We had comments from Joe Hayden, I believe, who was not too happy with Adam Schefter. And a lot of people were upset at Adam, actually. But moral of the story is, man, Dwayne Haskins gone way too soon. And it's just one of those things that does not make sense. Does not make sense. And as far as the details regarding his, how he actually passed, we know that he was hit by a dump truck. And, but we don't know why. Outside of the fact he was obviously on a highway, he was crossing the road. But the question is, why was he doing that? I don't know if that information has came out. I heard a story yesterday. I didn't really look too much into it because, again, I was very busy yesterday. The story was that he ran out of gas. But in a day and age where cell phones exist and this guy obviously was not financially struggling, that story doesn't really make sense to me personally, but man, I'm sure that information will come soon, though. Danielle says, same here, Fiend. Keep up the good work. Fiend, you losing weight, man. I didn't know you were in the process of doing that. Well, congratulations to you as well, bro. Take it from me, a guy who, for the last 5 years, believe it or not, guys, I used to be skinny. I mean, like, bony. And then high school, I kind of bulked out a little bit, but I didn't start gaining weight until my late 20s. Once I left warehousing. Then things kind of got crazy, and that's where I'm at now. But take it from me, man, being overweight is not fun. So if you're one of those people, you may not feel horrible today, but trust me, it'll catch up to you. Terrence says, honestly, I was just wondering what happened so bad. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, when the news initially broke, there was not much information. It was very vague. In fact, the initial reports on Haskins was that he was hit by a car. But even hearing that, it just does not sound like something believable. So, I know me, when I got the news, I honestly did not believe it at first until I went and physically looked at, from myself to see if any verifiable accounts were reporting that. Which unfortunately ended up being the case. Leedy says, Ozzy, according to cancel culture, everything is racist. I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, there is some truth to that. Cancel culture is pretty toxic, and Twitter is one of those places that consumes these kind of people. But, like, again, honestly, with the Adam Schefter situation, I don't know if I would deem that cancel. I wouldn't cancel Adam. But, I mean, I do feel like he should apologize for what could be looked at as an insensitive tweet. But I personally don't think he meant that to be malicious, if I'm being honest. Terrence says, like, I'm not saying he would take his own life, but the odds of this just being random chance, Yeah, I mean, again, there is some questionable things surrounding this. And I'm not going to go as far as saying that he doesn't, or he wouldn't be the type of person to do such a thing, but because we've seen in the past, I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head. Chester from Linkin Park is an example of that. That's a guy that you didn't really feel like he was, even though the music was depressing, you could argue. But from on a surface, I mean, you really didn't think this guy was going through anything mental. So, I mean, it's not too far-fetched. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I don't really think it matters either. I mean, this is, regardless what the situation was, a life was lost. And that's tough. That is tough. But I will admit, it is a little sketchy. Just because of the time we live in, being on the highway just doesn't really make too much sense. So, I guess at this point, we're going to have to just wait and see what comes out in the next few days. Ungar, what's going on? The Max, he says, I'm looking forward to doing our Browns versus Steelers video collaborations with you and the Twins again next season. Well, just so you know, if you do any content with me, which of course I'm open to, I've always been open to collaborating. But I am moving over to Odysee. Again, I will be continuing to upload videos to this channel, but as far as live streams, we're moving over there. And you can probably expect there to be some, some issues as far as buffering and stuff occasionally over there because they are a smaller platform. But if I'm being honest, I don't necessarily have an issue with YouTube. I feel like YouTube's been great. But they have been making some questionable business decisions over the years. And I just feel like Odysee cares more about the creators than YouTube does. So that is why I am switching to that other platform. Mad513 says that's like saying Pac-Man Jones has passed, etc., and he had a history. Exactly. And you can make many examples of that. It's just a very insensitive tweet. That was unnecessary. Like, I don't want to pass away and people be like, oh, that is the guy who didn't like Ben Roethlisberger in 2021 and consistently talked crap about Ben Roethlisberger. He's the guy that died. That's not how I would want to be remembered, but apparently, I mean, that's just how some people are. I know the media is a little clickbaity, and I do question the fact that Adam hasn't apologized yet. I mean, it's not that hard to say you're sorry, just for the insensitive nature of it. Ozzy says Dwayne Haskins got out of his car. He pulled off the side of the road, tried to cross 6 lanes of traffic on the interstate when it was dark. Yeah, again, it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. At all. Dallas says Schefter was probably more worried about reporting the incident than didn't even realize the truth about Haskins' struggles would be offensive. Exactly. But again, the aftermath of that tweet, whether he knew or not, he didn't know. Again, apologies are not hard to make. They're really not. So the fact that he hasn't apologized kind of tells me that he meant what he said. Whether or not it was intentional as far as like being malicious, I don't know. I personally don't think that's the case, but that's how people took it. So, and you can see, even though I still question why Chase recorded himself, but again, they say people mourn in their own way. But you can clearly see that he was affected by that entire situation. So for Schefter to put out what he did, and there's actually been worse that came out. I forget the guy's name, but if you go to my Twitter, 412SC, I did comment on the video. There was a video that came out where a guy is talking. He sounded like a very older gentleman. Or in this case, I called him a piece of you-know-what. He was talking about Haskins in a very, very, very ignorant way. And that obviously was intentional. So. And I'm trying to really stay off the football topic, but it is kind of hard not to think about, the potential of what his career could have became, that sort of deal. It's hard. And obviously, when more news does come out, I will be making quick content on that as well. So you guys can, I don't want to say look forward to it, but that will be coming to the channel when the time is in the moment. Whenever the news breaks is what I'm trying to say. As I told you guys, with the draft approaching, content on the channel is going to continue to increase. And then, of course, afterwards, it's going to be pretty much dead as far as news goes. Not a lot of stuff's going to be coming out after the draft. But I will try to find ways to make content for you guys at least weekly. Not to mention, I do plan on launching the podcast on April 16th. So this upcoming week, we will be launching the first episode of the Steelers Country podcast, which I've been struggling because there is another podcast out there that is called Steelers Country. This name is not very different. I mean, it's kind of a popular thing if you didn't know. I just happened to find a way to buy the domain. So yeah, there is another podcast out there, and I thought about maybe coming up with something different, but I really couldn't think of anything that made sense. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, in some ways I kind of regret changing from Steelers Country from Cold Steel to Steelers Country. I'm just going to put that out there. Don't be surprised if when the season comes I switch back to that shit, because I've been known to do it. Can't fucking stick to a name. Steeler Y360 Nation says, I'm not buying into the MSN's story of his death. Yeah, again, the whole thing just, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, the more stuff that comes out, the more it doesn't sound right. Ozzy says being out of gas makes the most sense, but his hat good flew out the window. Highway patrol. Man. I don't know. That's wow. See, I didn't even read anything about that. Like a hat flying out the window. Maybe this hat cost a lot of money. And to lose a life over something, an object. Man. Chad, what is going on? He says, what's up, Steelers country? Rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. I hear the Haskins news from former Steelers, Chris Carter. Former Steeler, Chris Carter. Yeah, it's a little wild. Oh, man. Well, I'll show you guys quickly the channel over on Odysee. This is what it'll look like, although the screen's a little screwed up, so don't mind that. We have 12 followers. Very, very small compared to what we have over here on YouTube, but it seems like the majority of those who subscribed for watch parties, so does not definitely make up my entire following, but nonetheless, just a reminder for those who may have just came in, we are moving over to Odysee, which is a different video platform, and we did a test live stream over there about 2 weeks ago, and from what I was told from those who were in chat, they said everything went very smooth. Very smooth. So I can't stress it enough. If you want to continue watching the live content, you're going to want to go over there. And Odysee will be getting the priority as far as uploads as well. YouTube is now going to be my backup. Instead of Odysee being the backup, YouTube is now the backup. And the only reason I'm doing the live stream on here today is because I wanted to make this formal. Unfortunately, the Dwayne Haskins news broke the day that I was originally going to do this stream. So, that's what it is. That is what it is, man. I am looking to upgrade and build on what I did last season. Every year that we do this channel, no matter what the freaking name is, we're looking to upgrade. Dallas says, game 1, everyone should show up in number 3 jerseys. I could see that happening. I could see that. I can honestly see them putting the stickers on the back of the helmet as well. And if the Steelers decide to release some, some pins, because they did that for Dan Rooney, if they end up doing that, I will definitely be purchasing said pin. So, Fiend says, high chair for YouTube. Yeah, and I will say that is going to be one of the downsides, at least for the next few months, of Odysee, is they don't have a program yet for you guys to, memberships. So hopefully I can get in contact with them to see what, the plans are for that, because they are going to be releasing that. But hopefully it's kind of like YouTube where you guys get badges and exclusive content and stuff like that, because we'll definitely be rolling that out. Matt513 says, I thought about getting a jersey made with Simba on the back. As you guys know, man, that was his, the J. Cole song was definitely one of his favorites. So that is a great idea. But again, and as Leedy pointed out, I do think they'll do some sort of dedication. Whether it's the number on the back of the helmets, which I do think they will do. And as Leedy said, maybe, in the sidelines, a black circle with the number 3 in the middle, which I changed my personal Twitter to that. Chad says, plus, what is up with Mason Rudolph? I think the hit he took against former Ravens safety Earl Thomas to the head. I can't tell you. The same question could be for DJ, man. Deontay Johnson, who's been acting very, very strange on social media these last few weeks. So, I at this point, I don't know. Again, I don't want to get into too much football talk on this stream. We're saving that for when we start going live next week on Odysee. And we will be talking about those things. Because, man, do I got a freaking opinion on Deontay Johnson. Let's just say he's in my crosshairs now. As guys that I would not mind seeing being traded. And we will definitely talk about that at some point next week. And yeah, Dallas says Mason was not in Florida. He tweeted devastated. He did not travel with the team. Which, to be quite honest with you, is something that I don't respect. I don't. That almost tells me that Mason has given up. If he wasn't willing to do what Dwayne Haskins did, which was travel with the team, I mean, what does that really say? Maybe he potentially gets traded. And again, we will dive into those topics on the next Steelers Country Live, which again will be over on the Odysee Network. So you guys can look forward to that. But that said, I think it would be appropriate to end the stream with one last moment of silence, and then we will hit the outro. This is it for me as far as live streams go here on the channel. If you're not comfortable moving over to Odysee, completely understandable. Just know that going forward, there will no longer be live streams here. But if you still want to see the content, you will be getting that on YouTube. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at 412SC. And if you're not following me over there and you have Twitter, I don't know what you're doing. Definitely follow over there to get the latest news and what we have coming up. And everyone that followed me over on Odysee, I appreciate you. At some point in the next week, we are going to be using that platform at its fullest capacity. And as you can see on the screen here, there's the content playlist about and community. The community tab is where I will be updating you guys. And again, there will be some growing pains with this process. I obviously need to finish this room first and foremost. But I have to redesign everything on the channel here. And yeah, there might be some issues with Odysee as far as the streaming. I don't know. Last time we did it, I got no complaints. But there may be times where the servers are a little slower because, again, they are a small platform. But a lot of people were moving over there, and eventually, 10 years from now, moving to Odysee is not going to seem so crazy. So, as always, I am ahead of the pack here. I am not waiting for others to move to other platforms. I am kind of a entrepreneur, if that makes sense to anybody. But yeah, we're going all out, man, this next season. And I do plan on doing watch parties, but they will be done over on Odysee. And I do plan on doing some watch parties with the Steel Twins as well. So, which they are on Odysee as well. If you guys didn't know, search up Steel Twins on Odysee. They don't use it as their main channel. Right now they're using it as a backup. But they are on Odysee if you want to see their content over there as well. Just type in Steel Twins. That said, I'm going to have another moment of silence for Dwayne Haskins, who unfortunately has passed. And let's try to remember him as a human being and treat our family members and those around us a little bit better. And remind ourselves that life is way, way too short. And again, we will talk about Mason. We will talk about Deontay Johnson probably Tuesday. I'll let you guys know over on the community tab on Odysee when we'll be going live. And I'll probably put out a message here on YouTube as well for those who are not tuned in right now. That said, man, you guys take it easy. Enjoy your Sunday. I unfortunately have a ton of shit to do around the house. And I will see you guys on the other platform sometime next week. Take care.